Great. I see us live on our YouTube channel, and it's looking like it is live for me on our Facebook platform as well. So let me give this a few minutes. I'll check and make sure on my end that I'm seeing everything okay.
Grandpa's with the girls. I can hear him talking to them. The next outburst will be when she comes back. She's just at PetSmart getting some food.
Then they'll think it's for them. Yeah, they want it all right then.
And Mr. Gibbs, he always looks so small to me as a pug, but after they leave, he looks like a Great Dane.
Perfect. All right. And I see a few of you starting to hop on with us. It looks like the notification has started showing up. So we will go ahead and get this broadcast kicked off. As you are starting to hop onto the broadcast with us, do us a huge favor and react to the video. You can also hit the share button so others in your network can see that we're just getting started on our live broadcast and can join in on the conversation. If you are a returning viewer, I want to thank you for being a part of our broadcast. We're going on 2 years of streaming some information, content, and resources in the community for our community members to be aware of. So I am Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And we start off every week with an update on our city. And our updates are presented to us by our elected officials. We have with us this morning Mayor Nancy McNally. Good morning to you, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you. And then we rotate through. This was actually a creative idea from our mayor this year, and that is incorporating a different member of council onto our broadcast to give you kind of their updates and provide their perspective. It allows you to know them a little bit more past just their name or seeing them once or twice at a council meeting, and allowing you to be able to engage with them along the way. Now, if you are a first-time viewer, then I ask that you hit the like button on this page here on Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, that you hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted in the future. Of course, if for some reason you're not seeing when we post information, I always reiterate that you have to be following the page for it to give you an update whether we go live or we post content in the future. We're on everything social media, so if you haven't already connected with us on Twitter and Instagram at Westy Chamber. We're also on LinkedIn, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. It's a mouthful, but it's easy to find on there. And it's our way of communicating with you just through various platforms, the information that we have in digestible chunks, if that makes sense. So our mayor has some things for us to go over today. If during the conversation you have questions about the items that she mentions, type it into the chat section so that way we can pull it up from there. If there's information that our mayor has not touched on that you are curious about, maybe you were waiting for or hoping that we can really get into the nitty-gritty on, type that into the comments. And if we can, we'll pull that information up and try and address it for you right then. Now, the comment section does allow us to post your name and your face. We also are able to see the message like this note from our current board chair, Brian Dice, giving a happy Monday morning to both the mayor and myself. We also have David Carpenter on here giving a good morning message to both the mayor and myself, and a happy Monday to him as well. And then Parker Brown also giving us a good morning message. So this feature is not only for these wonderful pleasantries, it's for conversation. It's our ability to answer questions that we have. And of course, we had a day off. Last week was Martin Luther King Day, and most facilities were closed, including our chamber office. So we gave you that day off, and we're picking right back up. Mayor, I won't take up much more of your time. I'll try and type in frantically the information that you share our way, and then we'll go from there.
Well, good morning, everybody. And you're going to hear some barking. I have 2 grandpuppies in the house, and Grandpa's doing his best downstairs to make them happy, but their mama is over at PetSmart getting food for them, and she is the one that's the glue to them, so they're a little anxious this morning. So sorry about that, but nobody's being hurt. They're just either seeing a rabbit, seeing a squirrel, or waiting for mom. And as soon as she does drive in the driveway, you'll really hear them. But anyway, first I'd love to know, did everybody like 8 weeks of seeing somebody different and getting some different perspectives? I was able to jump in on most of them. If I wasn't live, I checked on it afterwards. I thought it was great conversations. Um, each of us has different roles for liaisons to the different committees that help council. So I'm just hoping that's helpful. I felt like I'm not at all of those meetings and they're not at all of the meetings. So if each of us talk about what we do go to, that helps inform you. And so love to know if it's been helpful. I know Jody Andrews, our interim city manager, was even on one. So I just think that way you get to know all of us and we don't seem so scary. We're all pretty approachable. We have a meeting tonight, and so you go to our website and you go to government, you look for agendas, and it's been even confusing during the last couple of years to me. You have to go clear down because you're going to see archived before you see the current ones, and that I'm not sure why they do it that way, but it's finally gotten in my head. I have to go clear down. I haven't missed it anywhere. And you'll see for tonight the actual council meeting, and then you're going to see WIDA, and then you're going to see pre and post meetings. So there's three, and you can either click on the agenda or you can click on the PDF. PDF to me is easier to go through. I annotate and then I can mark it up. And as I'm going through my meeting, I know my questions and stuff. I can put a sticky note there. So it makes it easy. But that's how you find us. And if there's something you're looking for and want to research, you can do the archives, but it's ahead of the current pieces. And there was something else I was going to mention to you. Oh, last weekend, the things that I represent, I'm on the Westminster Historical Society. We had our strategic planning on Saturday morning. And so I was just telling Juliet behind the scenes, I am so excited because there's going to be some new and different things out there. You may all have gotten your spring edition of the activities from Westminster, but starting in the spring, well, I know in April you'll have your adult Easter egg, whatever they do there. I haven't been to one, so I know we're supposed to judge something, so I'll probably be there for whatever that is. I always went to the kids ones when we used to have those, and then budget constraints said we couldn't. So we have that, but then you have our cleanup day, I think is April something. And so watch out for that because we need you all to pick an area, have your neighborhoods or groups that you belong to, whether you have scouts, boys and girls, a youth group, church, whatever. If there's land around you that you can clean up, you call the city and ask for the volunteer coordinator, Martha Hines, and she would love to sign you up and do all of that. So that will be in April. We're cleaning up the city. And then in May, we always have my favorite, and that's the Armed Services Tribute Garden. And that's on a Saturday. And I'm not going to say dates because I don't have the whole calendar memorized yet, but it's, I think, the third Saturday. And then when we get into June is exciting because, the city always has movies in the park. We have this always all year long, the second Saturday historical walks down and the arts area of Westminster at 73rd Avenue, and the Bowles House is open on the first Saturday. And that's another thing I'll shout out for. If anybody wants to learn how to do tours at the Bowles House, we'd love to talk to you. And on February 5th, we're going to be down there taking down Christmas things. So stop by and we'd love to talk to you. And we're happy to train you. And there'll always be 2 people there. But we'd love to be open more Saturdays. And with COVID, hopefully, dying down literally, we are hoping to be open more than one Saturday a month. So on the second Saturday during the summer, the city has some things going on and going to coordinate with the Historical Society with a bus tour. And we'll do different areas of the city. We're going to do right in the historic area one time. We're going to go out to Old Wadsworth, where Church Ranch used to be. And we have a stagecoach stop, and it's rich with history along that corridor. That will take quite a bit of time just doing that corridor. We're looking at Schoenberg Farm one of the times with the historic buildings that are there and learning about that area. And then I don't remember which month it is, but the city's going to do international, global, something fun event at City Park. And I was telling Juliet before we got started, I can already taste all of the different food, all the different countries, and I'm so excited, and it's months away. But because people are going to be there, if you sign up to do the bus tour, we'll leave right from there. And another one that we're going to do is and I don't remember which order these are all going in, but the fourth one will be up north where the mushroom farm was, up at 112th. And then we'll go to Metzger Farm, which is owned by both Westminster and Broomfield. And then take you on to the cemetery that maybe some of you drive by and didn't know it was there, off of 120th and Huron. So fun things coming up all summer, plus all of the movies. There's just a ton of movies scheduled, and all of the outdoor things that we love to do, and an exciting time.
It is super exciting to see some of these coming back to us, and even some of these newer efforts in conjunction with key players like our Westminster Historical Society. For those of you that are starting to hop on, we have Mayor McNally giving us some updates on what's coming up over the next several months in the city in terms of activities and programs. We've also touched a little bit on this evening, and she did ask for some input on the rotations from one counselor to the next, and even our city leadership on these broadcasts and thoughts. I see with us a few new folks. Christine, I also see Jessica and David. Craig, thank you guys for hopping on here. We have some quick comments, Mayor, that I'll just kind of pull through for you to be able to see. The good morning message from Christine Wares hopping on. At any point, you guys can join us in the conversation. It's okay if it's a little bit later in this broadcast. So thank you for
They just had their big anniversary.
They did 8 years in business, which things fly by. We don't really we realize it until it happens, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's 8 years. It was huge, and from my understanding, it had some great community support. So thank you and congrats on that, Christine. Brian is sharing that it's a great change to the format, hearing and becoming more familiar with city council and staff. So that's a great remark on your question, Mayor. And then we also had another comment by Dave Carpenter as well. And he's also agreeing that it's a great system for each counselor to be able to share on the issues that are important to him or her. And it's great to also hear the city manager's perspective. So very well received. Thank you for that innovative idea, Nancy McNally, our mayor, and always open to constant tweaks. I think this is a great way for us to know what's resonating with folks. You touched on tonight, and tonight you've got a pretty big agenda item. We flashed the link for folks, and we also are flashing it once again. This is the link that our mayor was referencing for you to be able to find the agenda items that are laid out for this evening. 3 different pieces that you'll find: the city council meeting, a post meeting that's taking place, and then a WIDA meeting as well. The agendas can be downloaded if you go on there, scroll all the way down so you don't feel like you've gone to the wrong page, because I know exactly what she's talking about. When you open that up, it does look like, are you in the right place or not?
To me, where it talks about it, that's where the link should be.
Yes, and then you go down, and sometimes it takes it a second because, of course, the packets are huge, right? And so it takes it a minute to show up. You kind of have to stay with it for a little while. Now, right now, folks can still attend city council meetings virtually, in person, or just kind of on the phone and be able to tune in.
Yes.
Great. And then what I've also done was pull up the Historical Society's calendar of events. This is a page that you can find their board meetings. You can also stay tuned on here to see other tours that they do throughout the year and some of the newer efforts with our Parks and Rec department. And then if you haven't done this before, I highly encourage you to go to the Historical Society's website. There is believe it or not, a wealth of history and information, as the name says, when you go to that page. But it's truly impressive to learn about the foundation of our community and from one year to the next, what those transitions have looked like, and who's played a key role in our history. So if you haven't already.
We have those 4 storyboards. Have you looked at any of those?
Oh, no. Yes. Yes, the other day when I was at our archival meeting, we were able to peruse and look up for specific stories, either by names or for individuals or a particular year. And it was nice because it pulls data from way back. It's not within the last couple of years. This is stuff that's like from the early days.
I think that was past perfect. But when you first come onto the website, there's going to be 4 links. One of them's to the history of our water. One of them is historic Westminster and has, I think it's 82, but you just click on, it'll show a map and you just click on your number and it'll tell you the history and why it is tagged. And then we have one on annexations. So if you ever want to know where you live and what the history is and when it was annexed, it'll give you a before and an after, and a new one's coming. And I'm just waiting for the link to put it up because I run their website. And so don't go to the events yet because we just had this meeting on Saturday and I haven't loaded anything yet, but we will. And but we'll be a 5th storyboard. So if you know Tui, if you know a school teacher especially, these are wonderful. They can use their whiteboard in the classroom when they're teaching Colorado history. And if they want to get personal to Westminster history, we're trying to spread the word that it is at the fingertips, costs no money. They can go to that site, click on whichever of the storyboards that they want to look at, and it's interactive. And once these kids see what's on the web, they can go home and show mom and dad, and they can go all over the place trying to figure things out. So the people in our history group that do this, it's a group of men and women, invaluable what they've done over the last years. And so I'm excited to see the next one. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Mayor McNally. It's a great activity. I absolutely agree for you to just exercise your mind. We've also touched on other events throughout the year, like our Armed Services Tribute Garden that takes place, the Easter egg hunt. I'm right there with you. It will be a first time for us both to attend because I've yet to be able to make it. And it's my goal this year to make all the ones that I haven't made. And then April Cleanup Day, for those of you that are wanting a group or may not already have one, we are always taking folks as well through our Young Professionals group and clean up. So if you don't have a group, as the mayor was sharing, it's always a great idea to bring either your coworkers and kind of develop a group, or if you've got a church you're affiliated with or any other organization. And if you don't know that, you also have a home with us, and we're happy to take you on the young professional side and get you plugged in. Parker did comment, and he shared maybe that's something that we can fix, Mayor, bringing up the little bit of the lag that's there on the city's page for the meetings and the agenda, and maybe trying to place that strategically to make it a little easier for residents to navigate. So here's just a quick thought.
Even council members.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And then we also have Mayor Pro Tem DeMont on here with us, giving a good morning message. And he's also sharing that the dogs do sound like they want to be a part of the update today. Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, all of our counselors and our mayor are pulled in numerous directions, even on weekends. I mean, their service does not end. So I know the mayor had at least a couple, if not more, meetings on Saturday. And we still had Mayor Pro Tem DeMont and we had Counselor Nermella both make it out to our groundbreaking for Durrell Academy. So just a quick shout out and thanks to both of them for making it this past Saturday to that event. And Counselor,
great event. I saw your pictures. That was great.
Yes, it was. It was very well attended.
But I had 3 events that day. One got canceled, and Juliet's group was the third to ask, so they were third in line, and so I did do the historical stuff.
Yes. Well, we appreciate you representing our community at all in all hats that you wear, and of course, where we can get someone else to be plugged in, it helps us tremendously. We also have Counselor Seymour providing us a good morning message our way, and Lucy is tuned into the broadcast with us. So thank you to all of you that have hopped on. Mayor, the last broadcast that we were on together was right around. I feel like, well, actually, it was a while ago, so it might not have been around that time. But we had the community wildfires that took place, and I know that you've been engaged with the Metro Mayor's group on trying to address that, and you brought forward a pretty a nice way for us to kind of resourcefully contribute. Did you want to highlight that a little bit to the group that's on here?
Sure. What a sad scenario, and the two mayors from Louisville and Superior, heartfelt goes just everything. I know so many people who lost everything, and one of our churches that night when things were burning called. I was just sitting here in between the city contacting and other outsiders immediately. We have such a community that wants to give. We didn't know if the rec center was going to open. Finally, but the second time a pastor called me, I said, ask for forgiveness after the fact. If you're right there on Wadsworth, open. And they ended with, I mean, they just opened and 200 people came. And
Oh
so
my gosh.
they housed him that evening, and they fed him that morning, and let him hang around, and then they dispersed that afternoon. But that our community is like that, and so lots of people asking. So you were wonderful. You gave around $5,000, I understand, in gift cards when you could drop them off at our rec centers. And then the Metro mayors had met with the two mayors, and people were already taking care of food, and they had too much food actually. So they said the money is what they need. And there were a couple of groups working on clothes, new things that people could just come and get what they needed. So that was being taken care of. So I just went to our city manager and council and said, they need money. So I know Metro Mayor, that was the other strategic planning meeting I was supposed to have Saturday. And because of COVID being so nasty, we didn't have that because there's so many of us. We didn't have that in person. So that's been put off for a little bit. But we did have a virtual meeting, and we all agreed we'd go back to our councils, and money they needed, we'd see what we could give. So your city council and because this isn't our money, this is our citizens' money, you all gave $10,000 at the last council meeting to help. And it's going directly to the people who lost the fire, not anybody in between. And so you're helping people just in whatever way they need help. There's so many different things that they all need. There's no way to know that, but money, they know where they can go to get that, and they've started distributing some of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing a little bit about the church. It's my first time of hearing some that community support that happened instantaneously. But I agree with you. We were getting bombarded the day of, and you're like, we're trying to figure out what can you do and what's happening before you can coordinate. But I think one of the really great things that both the city and us prided ourselves on was our ability to try and comprehensively share. Here are the ways that you can support. And I know we've routed folks to cities. Resource page. Both of us kind of used our efforts to be able to share that out, but check those for ways that you can continue to contribute through time and additional resources. But thank you to council for allocating that $10,000. I know it'll mean a lot to those that are impacted by it, and there's a lot that are. So it's nice to hear some of the gift card distribution as well, and the ratio of folks that were able to contribute to that.
And people that heard about the family that had their car loaded, got to a Westminster hotel, and then their car was stolen. Jeffco sheriffs did find it. So just know that. My heart just thought, how many more things can these people deal with? But they did get it back. And the last time I met was right after the elections. So I can tell you a little bit about some of the things that I go to now, that
Sure.
I've been to in the last couple of months. I'm the representative for NATA, which is the North Area Transportation Group, and that's along I-25. So all of the north uh, cities that belong to that, we talk about the roads and how we get around and transit, the buses. We've been able to get some different things going up to 144th.
Mhm.
The big thing right now they're looking at is, when I was on council before, we were looking at 84th Avenue, and there's a pinch because from 84th South, things have been done to the highway, and from about 104th North, some things have been done to the highway
Yeah.
to open it up. And so that's the pinch point, that more people coming on, and it's just hard. So we talk about that while they're doing 270, which we all know has needed to be done for 100 years, but they're finally getting ready to work on 270, which is just ugly. But that exit comes out where we're talking about. So CDOT has said they don't see them working on the two together, and actually 84th isn't on their radar. We've already done studies on it back quite a few years, and that is
Mhm.
always scary, because if it goes too long and sits on a shelf, then you have to go through all of the millions of dollars for another study and all of that. So that's what they're working on, and they're concerned also if you have anybody that lives or you use the inline for
Mhm.
light rail. They've been having a lot of texts going out that those haven't been, they've been canceling different times. So nothing's consistent. And when nothing's consistent, people will find different ways to travel. So
Mhm.
that's not helping with congestion. And then I work with the Northwest Mayors and Commissioners, which is the US 36 corridor up to Longmont, and it has taken on Highway 7 and 287, which our people travel. So it makes sense. We sit in both corridors, that we have representation on both corridors.
Mhm.
And the Northwest corridor, especially, we'll be working with the Amtrak, with Front Range Rail, because with RTD not looking at finishing Northwest Rail that we're all paying for, we're looking at how can we work at the stops that are missing in
Yeah.
Northwest Rail, connecting us to Longmont. How can we make that work? So there's lots happening. I'll try to keep you updated. All I know is at the moment we're all talking. We're trying to work with all of the players that need to be at the table, and
Mhm.
that's always helpful. So Metro mayors have met, but just virtually, and our big thing was on the fire. So I think
Mhm.
that tells you everything I know you now know.
Well, thank you for going in detail on some of these assignments that you've really taken on under your wing. Transportation is a huge issue across the strait. It's no different for just our community, but I know those are some questions that folks have had, and that's around RTD, around the Beeline, around even other modes of transportation and accessibility. And you were spot on. When it's inconsistent, where it's unfrequent, it not only discourages people, but it makes it harder to count on that reliability. And so you end up planning a different way that you can get to places, which again, yeah.
Yes. And one other thing, because they're working on this right now with RTD, we're always in ozone
Mhm.
issues during the summer. And
Mhm.
so everyone's looking at how to encourage people to use buses, to use the train, to carpool, to do whatever, not to have as many things happening to make our air. So they're also in the midst of big talks of how this all works with RTD, and where the money's going to come from if they have free days. So you have one hand where you'd have to watch your app to say, oh, it's going to be an ozone day, so today's a free day. Well, as you said, when nothing's consistent, you're not going to, who's going to follow all of that and
Mhm.
go, oh, I don't know if it's a free day or not. Do I have money with me or whatever? So
Yeah.
there, then the suggestion is from other groups, make it June through July or through August or September, sort of the hot summer months when the ozone tends to be a lot worse. So
Mm.
we're in conversation. If you go to RTD and ever see some surveys around some of those things, they welcome your input. I haven't looked recently to see if there's anything, but I know with Reimagine, which they're trying to look at what should RTD look like and how can it serve the most underserved people and what is their role. They're going through that right now in a huge strategic planning. And they are always having surveys out there looking for different things as they're going along the system. So don't be afraid to go to their site and check out if they have a survey out there. If I see them, I'll probably put them on my Facebook so people will know it's out there so
Yeah.
that you can give your input. But that's the other big thing that I didn't want to forget about. People are
Sure.
looking at this summer how to reduce ozone, offer some free days or months of free, and where does the money come from and how is it all going to work? So
Yeah.
people are busy.
Yeah, they are staying busy, and and it's exactly what you said. You're in that strategic time period, and so they're always open to hearing the feedback from us as consumers, as residents, or as users of all of these systems. So we encourage you to always try and chime in. You know, user fatigue is survey fatigue is always one thing that is of concern. But if you're not implementing your voice in some of these areas, then your voice isn't being heard at the end of the day. So definitely follow the mayor's page on Facebook if you are not already doing so. And then we always try and capture those as well to make them available to you all. We've gone over a 30-minute time, so I want to be conscious of that with our mayor because she does always have back to back. And so if you are seeing this broadcast a little bit later, like Tom and some of you that I'm just now seeing on here, you can always rewind and rewatch it. Even if we're no longer in real time or live, we do come back and try and address any questions or comments that are thrown out our way. If you are uncomfortable asking something, whether it's because it's more personal to you or it's specialized or customized to your individual needs, you can always DM the page and we can get that over to our mayor. And she can circle back and answer that question for you. Have I left anything off, or was there anything else on your plate that you wanted others to be aware of, Mayor?
I didn't know if I have any questions. I'm okay today. I'm not under pressure. So if there's other questions out there, I can't see them. So
Yeah.
let me know.
Thank you. And Donna, thank you so much for hopping on here as well. I will also I will also mention, if I don't sound like I'm croaking over here, the city is also in partnership with the state of Colorado, and loved the terminology you used around the community wildfires. So I'll use it around this. These are taxpayer funded masks. So they're at no cost to you to access these KN95 masks. And you can find them over at Front Range. There's also another location. We've listed both of them on this page specifically so you can find them. But they are giving out these KN95 masks as of last Thursday.
And I have a big question. I asked somebody today, knowing that these are coming out, because with the cloth mask, I know I can keep washing it and keeping it clean because to me, that's more important than wearing a mask that I've seen from people that are filthy dirty.
Yeah.
Can the canines be washed, or do you have to just trash them at some point? And what is the wearability of them? I don't know. Is it a 1 day thing? Is it more than 1 day? Can they be washed? I haven't done my homework, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I believe some of them, that's a great question. Some of them are reusable, some of them are single use. So it does depend on the type of KN95 mask. I would hope that
So
on
beware.
yeah, that on the package, hopefully it says it on there for you. But exactly what the mayor said, if it is something that you're supposed to throw it out and you are trying to reuse, just make sure it is washed. Otherwise, you're re-wearing the same germs and everything else that you were trying to prevent yourself from getting to begin with. So yeah, so it does depend. It is a one per day, if I'm not mistaken, a maximum of 5 per month. So if it is the type that you do have to throw it out, you do have a few times that you can access this at no cost. We still have our normal disposable masks. We haven't been pushing them out pretty hard. Around the holidays, we helped a number of businesses. So if you're still interested in those, the application for that is open, and we can always drop them off to you at a later point in time. Awesome. Well, I don't see any questions, Mayor, so I will give you the rest of your morning. I know those doggies are anxious to spend it with you, and you've got a lot, so I appreciate you being on here, and I know that I will see you sometime soon.
I have one of them just creeping around the corner watching us, but she's not coming in.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, I hope everyone has a great rest of their morning, and thank you so much, Mayor, again for spending it with us.
Sure, thank you. It goes so fast.
It does. It flies.